you see me through your window?
In Unwashed and somewhat slightly Dazed, Bowie once again takes the role of an outsider, but there is something about it that discerns it from his earlier records. In some tracks on Bowie's first album, such as Love You Till Tuesday, Rubber Band, and Please Mr. Gravedigger, the outsider was standing in the shadows, spying on the people who belonged to conformed society, completely unnoticed by them. When society did notice them, as in Little Bombardier and We Are Hungry Men, it placed them in a certain preordained mental drawer, which enabled it to oppress their divergence so that the homogeneity of the collective could be kept. But here, when the outsider looks at a pretty girl, he realizes that she is looking back at him and even spying on him. We have a new kind of relationship between society and the outsider. Well, not exactly new. It already appeared in an earlier Bowie song, Columbine, in which he sang, "Columbine, my frail design, I see you see me standing on my own." These lines are sung by the character Pierrot, in the Lindsay Kemp play Pierrot in Turquoise. Bowie learned a lot from Kemp, and one of the things he got from him was the notion that the artist should be like Pierrot, a sad clown who portrays the fallible sides of human existence. In other words, the artist should present a grotesque mirror image to society, but do it in a way that is clownish and entertaining to get people to watch him, while he throws their faults back in their faces. In this record, we are seeing this attitude brought to present-day culture. Bowie uses the same words from Columbine to describe the situation with this girl, to show how they are both observing each other.
Don't turn your nose up. Well, you can if you need to. You won't be the first, alright. It must strain you to look down so far from your father's house. And I know what a louse like me in his house could do for you. I'm the cream of the great utopia dream, and you're feet in the depths of your banker's sleeve.
We learn that they come from the opposite sides of the social spectrum. The girl is the daughter of a rich and respectable man, while he is from the dregs of society. And yet, he presents himself as the cream of the great utopia dream, as the culmination of what the modern dream of a perfect society has turned into. He is probably part of the hippie subculture, a dropout who seeks utopia through the hippie practices of free love, drugs, mysticism, and so forth. For the girl, he represents something more exciting than her boring existence, so she is drawn to him. Since she feels herself superior to him, she thinks she can allow herself to be entertained by him without fear, but he hints that letting him into her world might shake it in ways she doesn't expect. So, while in Bowie's earlier records there could be no real contact between the deviant and society, since the deviant displayed a certain natural divergence that the collective could not abide, here the deviant is something else, someone who doesn't stand completely outside of society, but at its edge. He takes certain aspects of so-called normal culture, exaggerates them, and wears them on his sleeve, while behaving like an entertaining clown. In this way, society cannot ignore him or oppress him, because he stands out without doing anything unlawful. He is a freak, and most people are just amused by him, but to some of them, like this young woman, he is alluring, and she wants to understand what he's made of. In his identity, the freak embodies all the things about human existence that Western culture is trying to hide from itself. Sexuality, blood, rotting tissue, pain, death. Instead of hiding them, he provocatively exhibits them. For the girl, that makes him unwashed, i.e. dirty, and slightly dazed, i.e. a little crazy. Yet she also feels fascination, since he is only showing her what's inside her own skin.
I've got eyes on my backside. It's the electric tomatoes on credit card robbery. There are children in washrooms holding hands with a queen, and my head's full of murders. They're only killers scream. So now you can spend the morning talking with make a wide amaze, and now I'm raving mad and somehow it's like the days.
While the previous verse dealt with physical traits, this verse deals with the social and mental dark sides of human existence. The freak displays them in a very bizarre and beguiling way that juxtaposes symbols of wealth with poverty, technological with organic, innocence with dubious sexual activities, and weird murderous fantasies. The music, which started out as pretty soothing, becomes ever more wild, as electric guitar and harmonica battle each other like some Bob Dylan number that went out of control, punctuating his ravings. The girl thinks he's crazy, yet she's still fascinated, because it is part of her mentality as well.
Now you run from your window to the porcelain bowl, and you sing from your ear to the red parquet floor, and the block on the wall slides down your front and eats through your belly. Very catchy. So now you should spend the morning lying to your bed of a wide amaze about the things unwashed and huckleberry like today.
Following her interaction with the freak, the girl feels like she needs to clean herself up to go back to her normal life, but she's too affected. After looking into his mirror and realizing what she's like inside, there's no way to go back. Even her own mansion isn't safe for her anymore. The Brack painting, which her family bought just to flaunt their wealth, suddenly makes sense to her, coming to life and doing what art is supposed to do: eat through your guts and transform you. She is lost to her father's world now. She sees the freak as happier than she is, and wants to change her way of life. As he does on several other tracks on the Space Oddity album, Bowie here is both aligning himself with the hippie counterculture and discerning himself from it. He describes himself as a freak, like the hippies did, but while the latter wanted to drop out and create an alternative world outside of normal society, Bowie thinks that the freak should remain in the world of the normal people, and be like Pierrot, a mirror image that confuses them and affects them into changing their ways. And this concept will prove to be crucial to Bowie's later work. The freak/artist he presents here, who takes aspects of society, exaggerates them and juxtaposes them to create a startling and seductive mirror image, is a telling precursor to what he will be doing throughout the following decade.